It is Monday, May 20th, 2024. This is another edition of Baseball Today, presented to you by our friends over at Factor. That is my man, Trevor Plouffe. I am Chris Rose. Producer Dan is along for the ride as well. Also want to thank intern Tommy for all of his help on today's show as well. Plouffe, we got a ton to get to, 3 full days to cover in just over 30 minutes. Let's get to it. Another Monday, another Team City Connect uniforms are out, courtesy of the Lou. What do we think of the Cardinals?
I feel this feels like the Cardinals, like kind of like safe, like it's not bad. Like I like the traditional look to it, but I prefer when teams kind of go completely away from their tradition. But I know that's not going to happen with teams like the Cardinals, like the Yankees, and even like the Dodgers. I mean, those franchises love their simplistic uniforms. They don't differentiate a lot from them. So, like, what do you expect? I don't know.
Yeah, I think they're fine. I'm just not a huge fan of like the block letters on the cap, and
the hat's not great.
No, I think they could have done so much better. I saw somebody mock one up. I don't remember exactly what it looked like, but it looked like it had the little leaf. I apologize. I don't know exactly what it was called, but that's what it looks like. I apologize if it's a religious symbol, by the way. I just don't know exactly what it was, but it looked cooler than this and had St. Louis on the side, the STL. Whatever. I'm sure I always reserve judgment until I see him on the field. Also,
me too. I got to see it.
Yeah. Yep. We wish him luck. They'll bust him out in the near future. We're going to start off today's show with a tip of the cap, basically the way we start every ball game.
And a home of the brave.
That is a tip of the cap to Rangers third base coach Tony Beasley, not just because he sang the national anthem, but more importantly, he is a cancer survivor. So I love it. I loved seeing the smile on his face, and I love seeing how much that meant to him.
Yeah, you get to know third base coaches when you play third base. How about that? So I got to know him quite well. Then, I was with the Rangers in spring training, got to see him perform a song for the clubhouse. That's what he does all the time. He can really sing, man. So I'm a big fan of Tony.
That's awesome. Good for him. Stay healthy, my friend. All right, let's get it going with you, Darvish, who ever since he came off the injured list has been crushing it. 7 more shutout innings last night in the Padres' big win in Atlanta. 25 consecutive scoreless innings if you are scoring at home. And he became just the third pitcher to win 200 games combined in Japan and Major League Baseball. Now, of course, when he came over here and signed with the Rangers in 2012, he was supposed to be the next big thing. He has been pretty darn good. How would you summarize his stay here in the States?
I think it's better than pretty darn good. I think this guy's been, one of the best pitchers in the big leagues for the entire time. And I talk from time to time about guys that are tough to game plan for. He's one of the most difficult guys to game plan for in all of baseball. And it seems like, there's still a lot left in him. He signs the extension. He's got a lot of baseball left. We just did this on Talking Baseball. Jake posed the question, and I don't know if it's a great question, but he said, is Yu Darvish a Hall of Famer? He goes, if you combined, what he did in Japan with what he did in the States, I said, I don't think that's how it works, Jake. But if it was, you'd be talking about it. But even without that, he's had an excellent, excellent career. I mean, 275 games started over here in the States to a 3.55, almost 2,000 strikeouts. Like, he's a guy that and there's not many guys I say this about, but he has no hit stuff anytime he walks on the field. So how would I describe his career in the States? I think it's been, I don't know, probably is what everyone, best case scenario of what everyone thought, I think. And I don't think that's too outlandish. Like, I don't know if anybody thought he was going to win a Cy Young every single year, but he's been like a top of the rotation pitcher for 12 years in the big leagues. You got to tip your cap to that, right?
So you were just kind of establishing yourself at the major league level when he first came over. Do you remember, was there discussion about him?
Of course, yeah. Yeah, and then we got to face him. Like I said, you understood like what it was. Like he had the velo, he had all this stuff, and it was like, what pitch is he going to throw? He could throw anything. And there's a famous video of me out there. He got me with his like eephus curveball pitch, and I looked horrible at it. And I tweeted it out at one point, and he replied to the tweet, "That's the best one I've ever thrown." So yeah, he's a stud, man. And like from everyone I've talked to, like great teammate, like fun guy. I got nothing but good things to say about you, Darvish.
I heard he also smoked some heaters during the game, which is great.
Who doesn't?
Yeah, who doesn't fire up
Who
a few?
doesn't?
Should have played for Jim Leland back in the day, if that's
Oh,
accurate.
boy.
Finished runner-up, Cy Young a couple of times. He has been borderline excellent. And I like Jake's question about, the Hall of Fame. We don't combine numbers. Unlike in the NBA, it is the Professional Basketball Hall of Fame. It is not for the NBA strictly. And I kind of like that they've kind of globalized it.
Well, we're the National Baseball Hall of Fame. That's what we came to, so.
Yeah, but
they don't. For the nation, right?
Yes. Yes, it does.
Yeah.
So he's going to pass 2,000 strikeouts shortly.
Yep.
If he does pitch to 42, he's probably not getting to 3,000, but everybody who doesn't have question marks by their name for either PED questions or some other, I don't know exactly what to call Schilling these days, but we've talked about him ad nauseum on this show. Like, as long as you're eligible, you're getting in with 3,000 strikeouts. So maybe that's something that we'll see in the future with him. I mean, he is.
That's a lot. It's a lot of strikeouts for the next 5 years. Yeah.
Yeah. It's another 1,000. So let's even say that he gets to 2050 this season or 2070. You're still talking about another 930 for him to go over 5 healthy seasons. That's a ton of strikeouts. But he's been great. He's been a ton of fun to watch. He still has.
The fact that we're talking about Hall of Fame, Chris, tells you what kind of career he's had.
Oh,
that thing was nasty, dude.
When did you?
What am I supposed to do with this pitch?
Nothing. When did you realize on that pitch you were in trouble?
There's a better view. You can't really tell from there, but I was so far out in front of that pitch. Yeah. Like I swung. I could have swung twice, essentially. Here it comes. Watch this. Watch this. Watch how far in front I am.
Oh yeah. Oh. Yeah, dude.
Well, you got to be ready for 97, and he throws that thing up there.
Hey, hitting's all about timing. And by the way, when he says that's the best one he's ever thrown, good.
Yeah.
Made the top of the list. It means he respects you, dude.
He does respect me.
Boy, did I nail the prediction on Friday's show about Paul.
Yeah, you did.
Dude, I was all over it. I cannot believe how, just the center of the bullseye, Rose. Good work on that. Yep, he shoved 6, not only shutout innings, no-hit innings on the north side of Chicago. Double-digit strikeouts, first career win, the whole bit. Is there anything that you learned about Paul Skenes that you didn't already know before Friday's performance?
No, but I think there was confirmation on things that we've heard. Again, like we've only seen this guy as a second big league start. I don't follow the minor leagues. I don't follow college baseball. I hear rumblings of guys and you hear prospects, but like I just want to see him at the big league level. We heard all these things about Paul Skenes and you saw highlights and stuff like that, but like he's just confirming what everyone's basically said about him. And this guy is a true ace, probably already has the best stuff in the big leagues of any pitcher. Like think about that. We're talking about a guy's second career start, and I don't think that's like far-fetched to say. Like he has that type of stuff, that type of mentality, that type of command, work ethic, like everything that you want, this guy has. And I don't like to give credit like this early on. Like you got to show it and continue to show it. But like if you just watch him pitch, Chris, you understand that the Pirates have something really special here. And it makes me think, like, what are they going to do this year? You got him and Jared Jones up there. You got Mitch Keller doing his thing. Like, what are you going to do? You can't just sit idly. Mm-hmm. Not idly to the leaves of the Laureate fall. Anyways, that's a Lord of the Rings thing. But listen, what are you going to do? You got to go make moves, right? You got to support these guys who are, you're going to have a chance to win every single night that those 3 guys are out there, and you got to go offensively get something. So I think that's what it brings up more to me is like, this guy's a stud, and like, there's no doubt about it. Now, Pirates, your move.
Pressure's on the organization. You cannot. It's a waste. It's exactly. I was texting with Brault, and I said, dude, it's going to be a total waste if they don't make upgrades. We talked at the beginning of the year, I think in spring training, where we were like, hey, we look at the Pirates lineup, and at least it's 9 pretty recognizable faces for the most part on a daily basis, and you couldn't always say that. They've done a nice job extending Ke'Bryan Hayes and Brian Reynolds. but there are other moves that you need to make because you're not that far in this division. You are not that far.
The wild card, there's so many teams jumbled up there.
Yeah. So you're right. The pressure's on. The other thing I learned, and I probably thought it prior to even his first start, but now 2 starts in, and I do tend to get very excited about young people, but I really, really wholeheartedly believe this. Major League Baseball has to do whatever it can to make sure every one of this guy's starts is on national TV and streamed to the best of its ability. Has to. He's scheduled to pitch Thursday, day game at home, which kind of sucks. I wanted to see it Friday night against the Atlanta Braves, like a really good team. I would have loved that. But I'll take what I can get. I don't know if MLB Network's going to pick up that game. They better. Every one of his starts has to be in a national window. It has to be.
His stuff is so good. I mean, I think the first 2 games have been on MLB Network, and I don't know if that's like their plan going forward, but he is must-watch TV, man.
Yeah. Hey, real quickly, what do you think? And I'm going to ask guys, do you think that because that game started at 2:00 Eastern, so guys are in the clubhouse, they're doing their work, they're getting ready to hit the field, the whole thing. I bet you there were a lot of guys watching in the clubhouse to see what he's about, right?
Oh yeah, I mean he's the shiny new toy, man. You want to see if it's for real. I mean, I think that's what everyone does. It plays Major League Baseball. You're like, okay, sure, bud. You did it in college. You did it in the minor leagues. Great. Here's the big leagues. He's done it.
Yeah. That was just part of a fascinating weekend between the Pirates and the Cubs. On Saturday, a 1-0 game came down to the final play. Cody Bellinger trying to score the game-winning run. We've got this play at the plate. They call him safe, even though it looks like he got tagged. Joey Bart turns around, tries to show the umpire the ball, and it gets knocked out of his hand. So, we go to replay, and here's the Pirates announcers.
After review, the call on the field is confirmed. The runners.
What are we doing? Are you kidding me?
If you go further back, the Pirates announcers are saying, okay, Pirates, get your gloves because there's still one more out left to get after they reversed this call. And they went nuts. It obviously created quite the shitstorm on social media. Where do you sit with this whole thing?
I just wonder, Joey, why are you showing the baseball? Like, why did you do that? You had it in your glove. Just stay there. Like, you don't need to show the umpire the baseball. Like, you don't have to do that. And that's everything. I think he's safe because he didn't. If Bellinger like knocked it out of his hand purposely, like that's a different story, but just like a natural sliding motion and you brought the ball up. Bart, I love what you're doing with the Pirates. You're having a great year. It's awesome to see you have that success, but that to me was the mistake. I mean, you made a great play. You made the tag. Just there's no reason to get the ball out of your glove and show the umpire. Obviously, he didn't think that was going to happen or think that was even possible, but he's safe, man. Like you got to like control the ball.
So you're
through the play.
You come from the must complete the catch. Like it reminded me of another famous sports play that happened in Chicago. Different sport. It was the Calvin Johnson no catch week 1 where he put the ball down after scoring in the back of the end zone. They said he didn't complete the whole catch. Here,
I remember that.
I guess the big question is that we didn't get answered because I tried to find a pool report after the game, somebody to talk to the umpires, and I couldn't find it. So if somebody has it in the chat, help me out. But is the play dead once he does tag him? Is the only question I had because I don't have the answer. Like, right? I mean, why isn't the play dead?
It's like any other tag play. Like if you tag him and like you graze him for a second, but then the ball comes out, you're safe. Nobody complains about that. This is just took a little bit longer for it to happen. But like the play is not done. The slide isn't done. It's not like the slide was completely done and then he showed the ball and dropped it. That's a whole different story. Like the slide was still ongoing. And to me, like I didn't have any problem with this. I could see if you're a Pittsburgh fan, like I know your point there where it's like, okay, you tagged him and almost looked like you tagged him twice. But like I just go back to there's no reason for you to be showing the ball like that. There's no reason at all.
I think that Bart felt like, okay, somebody else is on base, so we want the umpire to call out quickly so that we prevent the runner from continuing to run around the diamond. That's what I'm guessing.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, but to me, I think that he's safe, and I don't really think there's a legit argument around it.
Would you have had a problem if he was called, if they had reversed the call?
Yeah, I would say he dropped the ball. So why are we reversing the call?
I think that it's easier to stick with what was called because the ball
Well,
is
they confirmed it though. They didn't say stands.
confirmed. You're right. You're right.
What's your take?
I'll be honest. I was watching the game, and as I was looking at replay, I was like, "Oh yeah, he's tagged out," and he was just looking to show the ball to the umpire, and then it got knocked out inadvertently. It was not intentional, but it was like after the tag had been done. So I think once you tag him, but I can't find the rule.
I mean, you could. I don't know. Like to me, like just as a ball player, I would say you got to hold on to that ball. You're starting to convince me a little bit because it just.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I'm not going to lose sleep over this one. I'm not going to die on this hill. I am more curious about it than anything. I just this is really where I think baseball has got to put an umpire at MLB Network and have them on standby for every broadcast.
Okay, I'm like going all over the place now because we have the on the transfer rule. Like if you're a second baseman and you're getting a throw from the third baseman and it's in and out of your glove, it's on the transfer. So that out still stands. This looks like it's on the transfer a little bit. So maybe I completely just changed my mind. I don't know, man. This is
not easy. Not easy. Hey, quick reminder that John Boy Media and iHeart Podcasts have teamed up. You're probably curious, what the heck do you mean, Rose? I mean, 2 of your favorite John Boy Media shows can now be found over at the Dan Patrick Show, in addition to where you already watch or listen. That's right. We got Wake and Jake and Jimmy's 3 Things. They have joined the iHeart Podcast and the Dan Patrick Show family. And the best part, they'll still continue to be the very same shows that you know and love. Don't worry about the content. It is all remaining the same. If you couldn't tell, obviously we are very excited about this one. Dan Patrick and all his boys and girls over there, they do a tremendous job with all their networks and all their programming. And he's a legend in this business. So why wouldn't you want to be a part of his team? And by the way, we couldn't do this cool stuff like this if it wasn't for all of your support. Thank you very much. We know you guys have a lot of choices in terms of what you consume content-wise. We appreciate it that you continue to follow us here at John Boy Media. All right, we continue with, there were a ton of really cool endings. We just saw one on the north side of Chicago. If I had to pick a favorite, though.
Oh, I wonder which one.
A swing and a drive! High! Deep to right! This ball's gone!
I'm sorry.
That's fine.
Sorry. Yeah.
I'm used to it as a Twins fan. We're high, we're low, we're high, we're low. It's okay.
Yeah, those are 3 crazy. Saturday got a little bit out of hand, one-sided, but Friday and Sunday were fun. They play some really weird games. Will Brennan, way to go, chill, Will. I'm proud of you. But we're not here to focus on the Guardians, even though they did sweep the Twins and improve to 5-0 against Minnesota this year, because they didn't put any more distance between themselves and the second-place team. Kansas City also broke out the brooms at home against the Oakland A's. They are now 11 games over 500. Plouffe, we knew they were going to be better, but how shocked are you they're this good, like a month and a half, almost 2 months into the season?
You're lying if you said you thought they were going to be this good before the season. I know that they went out and made moves during the offseason, and they brought in some players. They went in a slow offseason. They tried to improve their roster, and they brought in a bunch of guys. They brought in Hunter Renfroe. They brought in Adam Frazier, Lugo, Will Smith. So you knew they were going to be improved, but definitely not this good. And even some of the guys that they brought in offensively, they haven't done anything. I mean, Renfroe and Frazier haven't done anything offensively. Will Smith in the bullpen he's had some blow-ups. So it's really been about, Lugo and Reagans and Singer and what they've done in the rotation. That's all good and fine. Bobby Wood Jr. doing his thing. But to me, the biggest, what makes them a team like this is what Sal Perez is doing. Mm-hmm. I think he gets lost in the shuffle. People will talk about Vinny Pasquantino and he's driving in a bunch of runs, and Bobby Wood Jr., he's the new face of the franchise, and he's got, he got the big contract and he's putting up MVP numbers. But look at what Sal Perez is doing. He's got 950 OPS, 167 OPS plus. He's driven in 37 runs already. From the catching position, he catches every freaking day. That guy is the reason they are where they're at. I get it. The pitching has been great, and that's a great story too. But without Sal Perez, they're nowhere close to where they're at in the standing. So, I mean, I'm shocked, man. I really am. I did not expect them to look this good. It's like sometimes you do with the Cleveland Guardians. You say this all the time, man. I'm waiting for the bottom to fall out. It's not sustainable. They're not going to do this. It kind of feels that way with Kansas City, but they keep finding ways to win ball games, whether it's timely hitting or relying on guys like Sal, man. So I'm definitely shocked. And I think if you say otherwise, you're lying.
Yeah, I think that probably an improved year would have been 82, 83 wins, like significantly improved. You've been like, okay, well, this team in 2025, look out.
56 and 106 last year.
That's amazing. God, I didn't even know it was that bad. We're sub 60 wins. Okay. So I texted our buddy, Vinny. Okay. I was like, we're going to give your team a little love today. So, I'll be honest with you. Because you haven't played the Guardians yet. I've watched some of your games, but I'm not watching 9 innings. Help me out here. He goes, well, we've got 2 superstars. I was like, Bobby Witt, and then I went with Sal, and I knew that his numbers were good. But then I went a little bit deeper on him. And I had heard rumblings that his defense wasn't great the last few years. And in fact, it wasn't, particularly pitch framing, which I know sounds like a really boring topic, but it's a big deal to teams. It's why we're seeing so many guys getting clubbed on their hands back there because they all want to steal the low strike. They had to kind of reteach Salvador Perez how to catch. And so he has gone from a defensive framing liability to a guy who doesn't cost them runs. That's been a big deal for them, and a ever-improving pitching staff. Seth Lugo has been out of this world amazing. He leads the league in innings pitched, which when you were like, okay, they sign him and they'll get innings out of him. Great. That's something they need in that rotation. But then when he also leads all qualified starters in the American League in ERA, then we're talking about something special. And I remember a couple of weeks ago, we talked about Seth Lugo and how impressive he'd been. And I said, yeah, but his strikeout rate's really low. So his last 2 games have been double-digit strikeout efforts. So now they're getting innings, run prevention, and Ks all wrapped up into one. Seth Lugo, I'll see you at the All-Star game in Texas. I think it's awesome for them. 2 other guys that Vinny wanted me to mention were Schreiber and Zerpa out of the pen. He said those 2 dudes have really done a nice job for them.
I love watching the team play baseball. I'll say that right now. Sal Perez, he's a swinger, not that type of swinger. See Rosie?
Chicka, bow, wow.
He swings at everything. Second percentile in chase percentage, but doesn't matter because he's 95th in barrel, 94th in hard hit, 89th in average exit velocity. Go check out his baseball savant. It's nice. He doesn't run very fast, and he gets stalked for that a little bit. In the 5th percentile in sprint speed. But you know what? That's a big boy.
Yeah. I mean, come on. He's also in his mid-30s and plays catcher every day in the sweltering heat in Kansas.
He's a stud, man.
DREC 900 in the chat reminds us that the Royals' first time at least 10 games over 500 since 2015, which I believe was kind of an important year for them.
Yeah, they got all the guys out there right now for the 2014 AL Championship.
Yeah.
And they lost to the Giants in 14, I believe.
They did in 7 games when Mad Bum came out of the pen and did his whole thing.
Yes, he did.
All right, there was a ton of great stuff that happened this weekend. We don't have time to talk about it all, but a few of the highlights. Rafael Devers has homered in 5 straight games. Tyler O'Neill homered against his old team in his old stadium. That was kind of cool in St. Louis. In the Lou. Luis Gil, 14 strikeouts in their win over the White Sox. That set a Yankees rookie record. Amazing performance by Alek Manoah. 7 scoreless on Sunday. Shota continues his amazing run in ERA under 1 in his first 9 career starts. Give me one thing you were like, okay, really cool. I want to talk about it.
Auxiliary item that I'm not really going to talk about, but shout out Walker Buehler for getting his first win in 2 years. Hopefully you're not doing that. I don't think you are. So that was awesome to see. But for me, it's Gunnar Henderson, man. What a great matchup. Mariners, Orioles. Mariners come out, they score first in the first game, and then Gunnar Henderson says, I got it, and hits a homer. Hit a homer in all 3 games. What this guy's doing, he's got 15 homers. He's leading the league, tied with Kyle Tucker for home runs. To be able to punch back like that, to have this guy at the top of your lineup, like, I think when it's all said and done, if with all the freaking good players that we're talking about in Baltimore, I mean, we have some legit stars on that team, but this guy he's the one, Chris. Like the way we're talking about Paul Skenes and what he's doing, I think like we also should be talking about Gunnar Henderson, because I think he's like on that level where he's not only one of the best young players in the sport, I think he's just one of the best players in the sport. So I wanted to shout him out. I mean, he had a great series, 2 for 5, 1 for 3, 2 for 4 homers in each game. He's just a difference maker, man. I love watching him play baseball.
Isn't that the second time he's hit homers in 3 straight games this year? It feels like it might be the second time.
I'm looking. Yes, he did it against Minnesota. Did you do that on purpose?
Wait, what do you mean? I'm not here to make your life miserable. Well, I am. But it was. I'm just a facts guy.
You are a facts guy. It is.
And he is. Here's a fact, or at least something I believe will be fact. He is consistently going to be top 5 MVP voting for the next decade.
He's the real deal, man.
He is the complete player. He's awesome. So there were a couple things I found really cool. The thing with Spencer Steer, where he fouled a ball off at Dodger Stadium, and his brother caught it.
That's awesome.
That's
awesome.
Pretty damn neat. You mentioned Kyle Tucker. Sunday, 3 Ks wearing green shoes, went back and changed to the orange, and then he hits 2 homers.
Love that for him.
Y'all are freaks. I'm just saying it. But to me, the thing that caught my eye was the performance of Giants outfielder Luis Matos. San Francisco hit its low point of the season late last week when they confirmed that Jung-Ho Lee is going to be done for the year. And it sucks because he's good energy. He's been fun since like his first announcement, his first press conference there. I know his numbers weren't great, but it felt like he was a legit major leaguer that was going to provide something to the top of the Giants lineup. So they're all down that they lost him for the year. And this is a kid who's only 22 years old, and he frickin' had 11 RBIs over a 2-game span. That tied the Giants record set by Jack Clark in 82 and the Hall of Famer Bill Terry in 1932. He also became the first major leaguer 22 years old or younger to have 11 RBIs in a 2-game span since Johnny Bench in 1970. And if that's not enough for you, he also had 17 RBIs in his first 7 games of the year, right? He just recently got called up. That hadn't been done by a Giant since George High Pockets Kelly in 1921. Yeah. High Pockets.
Of course.
Dude, we need to circle back on just the weird nicknames. We need to.
High Pockets.
Hey, and here he comes, George High Pockets Kelly.
It's a great nickname.
Oh, my goodness.
You got Fat Pockets.
Not anymore, bro.
Chris Fat Pockets Rose.
As they like to say, going, gone. Yeah. And the Giants have played better. They've now won 4 in a row. They're the first team out of the wild card chase. They're going to be okay once they get Blake Snell back.
And Matt Chapman started hitting for them.
Mm-hmm.
I think he a big series, 8 for 10 in the series against Colorado. Sweep. I think he reached base 11 times in a row at one point.
Pretty good.
It's nice.
All right, finally, before we get out of here, I love this. There was some great fan-player interaction. Nothing better than what we saw with the Yankees, Oswaldo Cabrera, hanging out with a bunch of kids, talking to them, getting them fired up. He busts out the phone, and then this happens.
Guess who is here?
Hey.
Oh, it was so funny because he's like, I'm going to call somebody. And they're all going, you can hear him whispering like, Aaron Judge. He ends up calling Soto, and then they all go nuts. But
yeah, it's awesome.
Was that better than the Brandon Marsh lookalike? You know, when they go out and they sign the ball before the game.
Oh, my gosh.
I mean, she came out full hair, bandana, and beard as well.
I mean, I don't want this to be taken the wrong way. I just love kids, man. Kids are awesome.
They are awesome.
I know. Watching, those 2 clips, I was around Teddy's baseball team this weekend and watching the fun that they have on the field. Like, they all love to dive head first now. It's like a new thing they've learned. So, like, every single time they can, they're diving head first. They don't really know how to do it, but the joy, man. Never lose the joy.
No. And by the way, more major leaguers should be doing what Waldo did, where he was talking to a bunch of kids. And listen, it's great if you have any major leaguer. Like, he's trying to establish himself at the major league level. But if you can call a superstar and just get him to FaceTime, I bet you Soto loved that too.
Oh, I think Oswaldo knew exactly what he was doing. Is like trying to say, "Look how many people love you as a Yankee. Stay here. Come on."
Right, exactly. You don't think the Steinbrenners will throw a little something extra his direction if he ends up staying?
I like that.
Yeah. Hey, don't forget this show is presented to you by Factor. Later on this week, we got our Factor question of the week. The last two have been excellent. Get them in by Thursday night. We can read it on the show and make you, if not rich, famous. Kind of. Maybe. All right. I'll be watching my Cleveland Guardians tonight as they play host to the New York Mets, which means it is the return of Francisco Lindor for the first time since being traded.
I like that. I'm doing pre and post for the Twins against the Nationals today. So if you're watching the pregame, I'll be on there.
Awesome. I'll be. When do we get you back in the booth? Soon?
June 4th, I believe, is my next gig. So coming up.
All right, great. We are back at it again on Tuesday. We're probably scheduled for a live show right around 11:30 a.m. Eastern takeoff, 8:30 a.m. Pacific. So for our one-of-a-kind producer, Dan Rourke, intern Tommy, my man Trevor Plouffe, I am Chris Rose. We will see you Tuesday here on Baseball Today, presented to you by Factor.